I finally got the DS everyone was telling me about. This is the DSi XL, and if you have seen my comparison video, you know that this is the only DS I did not have. And let me tell you, I got a ton of comments of people telling me that I needed to get this DS. And I would be lying if I didn't say I was at least curious. I have 3 of the original DSi's, and they are my favorite iteration of the original DS models. I think they're comfortable, have a great design, and they are very compact. So I'm very excited to see if the DSi XL changes my mind at all. I was able to find this DSi XL on eBay for $90 plus shipping. It's definitely not brand new. It has some scuffs on the outside, but nothing too crazy. And unfortunately, it is missing its original stylus. Otherwise, the system works flawlessly, and overall, it looks pretty nice. But now it is time to finally answer the question, is the DSi XL worth all of the hype? So my first impressions of this thing is that it's way bigger than I expected. I don't know why I thought the original DSi XL was going to be a lot smaller than the new 3DS XL. When comparing the actual height and length of these systems, they are almost identical, and the new 3DS XL only weighs 10 more grams than the DSi XL. The DSi is a very impressive size, which is an actual pleasant surprise. The system is so comfortable and it feels great for long play sessions. And if you have a 3DS XL or a new 3DS XL, you will feel right at home with the DSi XL. Now, when you have the DSi and the DSi XL next to each other, the difference really starts to stand out. The XL's 4.2-inch screens look massive next to the DSi's 3.25-inch ones. And even though both share the same resolution, the larger display doesn't ruin the experience the way that I was worried it might. Both these systems are running the same specs as well, an AMR7 processor for the bottom touchscreen and an AMR9 processor for the top screen, 16 megabytes of RAM, and a 3 to 14 hour battery life depending on the brightness. But the DSi XL does have the original DSi's battery life beat by about 3 hours. So when I purchased all these DSi's, I honestly didn't think I wanted nor needed the DSi XL. I was worried that the bigger screen would have less pixel density and that the size would compromise the portability of the system too much for me. For example, I prefer using my new 3DS over my new 3DS XL just because of the size. But I think that my opinion is actually starting to change. When I use the DSi XL, it just feels so comfortable, and I'm honestly surprised I've been using the other models for so long. Just look at how the system fits perfectly in my hands. The touchscreen is perfectly in reach for my thumbs, and every single button is accessible to me from this position. Now hear me out on this. The D-pad being positioned here on the DSi XL, it's much better than where it's positioned on the 3DS. I know it sounds crazy, but when I'm using my 3DS, I like using the D-pad more than the circle pad. And for me, it just feels like a much more natural place to have it. I might be super alone on that, and I'll take the heat for it, but hey, that's just my opinion. And I thought it was important to mention because I do really like where the D-pad is on the DSi XL. Now, looking at the quality of the system, I think that this is a fair time to admit that they just don't make them like they used to. The DSi XL feels so durable. This is a damn near 20-year-old system now, and the hinges feel brand new. I mean, look at this. The buttons still feel amazing till this day, and I have had issues with my left and right triggers on my DS Lites, but never on my DSi's, and I'm happy to report that I have still no issues on my DSi XL so far. Overall, the DSi XL feels like a very premium system. I'm genuinely surprised that this system is so old. I feel like Nintendo just perfected handheld gaming back then. I mean, I like the Switch and all that, but it just doesn't hold a candle to the perfection that is the hinge design of the DS and 3DSs. However, this system does have some drawbacks. So for example, there is no GBA slot like the DS Lite or the Fat DS, and the camera still sucks. I guess it was a novel idea, but it's really not super useful. Personally, I'm not sure why Nintendo and Sony insisted on adding cameras to their handhelds back then. Maybe I'm missing something or a piece of history here, but they just never made sense to me. The only time I've ever used the camera on my DSi XL so far has been on accident. But don't be sad that it doesn't have a GBA slot, because honestly, this is the best way to play your DS games, because DS games look best on the DSi XL. They look much better than what they do on the regular DSi. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I think that DS games look better on the DSi XL than they do on the 3DS. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. There's so many people in the comments of my DS/3DS comparison video saying, oh, you obviously pick a 3DS because it could play DS and 3DS games, yada, yada, yada. Those people have never had a DSi XL, and it shows. The DSi XL has dual IPS screens on every single model. And yes, some new 3DSs also have IPS screens on them, but they are pretty rare. The DSi XL though, guaranteed IPS screens on every single system. And let me tell you, they live up to the hype. Every single DS game that I've played on this thing has looked phenomenal. This is the actual best that DS games have ever looked for me. And getting a DSi XL is way more affordable than getting a new 3DS with IPS screens. Because in my experience, getting a new 3DS with IPS screens is like hitting the lottery. Either one of these two things happen. One, you get a new 3DS on the secondhand market, and the person that's selling it to you is not a complete nerd. So they don't even know that the system has IPS screens, so they sell it to you at market value. Option number two is that you buy the system from a complete nerd who knows they have IPS screens on their new 3DS, and they're going to charge you accordingly, and that means maybe like a $50 to $100 upcharge. All I'm saying is, if you like playing DS games and you want to guarantee you are playing them in the utmost highest quality, it makes more sense to purchase a DSi XL over getting lucky with a new 3DS. And I know this isn't a big deal for a lot of people, but if you're watching this video, you're probably one of the ones that do care. And that is a very justifiable reason to buy a DSi XL right now, because they are just so much more affordable than 3DSs. The 3DS market is absolutely horrendous. People are acting like they have a freaking Bitcoin or something. The prices that they are asking for 3DSs is just, it's ridiculous. You can just skip all the hassle by buying a cheap DSi XL for like $100 and play your DS games on IPS screens. I did mention earlier that my stance on the XL models of these systems has changed recently, and I think I know why. And it's because of these things. Yep, the Switch 2 and the Steam Deck are so outrageously huge that my entire perspective of portable gaming has changed. Not even 2 years ago, I was saying that the DSi and the new 3DS were the best versions of their respective consoles. But now, I think that the new 3DS XL and the DSi XL are superior, because these feel small to me now. I use my Switch 2 and my Steam Deck all the time, and God, sometimes I even take them outside, believe it or not. And since I've been using them so much, I have come to appreciate the size of the DS XL models. They don't feel too big or bulky to me anymore. Honestly, they feel perfect. It just shows how far we've come in the portable gaming space, and the reality is that it's just not portable anymore. But that's a topic for another video. I just want to reiterate how much I love the battery life on this thing. On full charges and minimal brightness, this thing really can last up to 14 hours. Yes, 14 hours. And given how horrible the Switch 2 and the Steam Deck battery lives are, this is a godsend. I can actually leave the house without a charger. Not only does it fit in my pocket, but I also don't have to worry about it dying on me. And trust me, I've only seen battery life this good on the Vita and on the DS and 3DS models that I've been using. Because I do have some like retro handhelds like this RG3 XXSP, and even this thing's battery life is dog water. Look, all I'm saying is that when you get a system that feels this great in your hands, has amazing games, has amazing screens, has amazing battery life, while being dirt cheap compared to other portable consoles that are coming out today, it's honestly hard not to love it. I'm happy to say that the DSi XL hype is very real, and I'm so glad I finally got my hands on one. It has been a blast, and I just love seeing how all my DS games look on it. And you can't finish a DS video without talking about modding your system. Again, I will not be showing you how to do it in this video, and make sure that you only play games that you own. But modding it is pretty simple. If you've modded your 3DS, you already know it's freaking easy. But unfortunately, it's not as robust as the 3DS, so don't expect like apps or anything like really crazy other than just like emulation for older systems. It's really not that big of a deal for me because I'm mostly just playing DS games on it anyways. But it's important to know if you think that you're gonna get a bunch of different like apps and stuff like you do on the 3DS. It's not that. So in conclusion, it's 100% valid to get a DSi XL in 2025. It is the best way to play DS games, hands down. And if you're one of the few people that do have IPS screens on your 3DS, I'm really happy for you, honestly. But again, the D-pad where it's at on this thing is just, it's better than where it's at on the 3DS. I don't care, man. Go off on the comments. I'll die on that hill. Anyways, thank you so much for convincing me to get a DSi XL. I have absolutely been loving it. And let me know in the comments, what is your favorite DS/3DS model? Please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. We're almost at 2,000 subs, and I really want to hit that goal by the end of the year. So if you could help me out with that, I'd give you a big kiss, a big virtual kiss. All right, I'm sorry, but I hope you have a wonderful day, night, whatever time it is where you're at. I hope you have a good one. Peace.